On to West Africa now, where consumer inflation in Nigeria was at 9.3% year-on-year in August. That's up 0.1% month-on-month from July. According to Nigeria's Bureau of Statistics, the marginal rise was a direct result of slower increases in the prices of alcoholic beverages, tobacco, kola nuts, health, transport, recreation and culture. Africa's biggest oil producer has been hit pretty hard by the decline in global oil prices, which has sent its currency plummeting to record lows, close to 200 naira to the dollar. Now, the central bank has imposed stringent foreign exchange measures to prop up the naira, but investors are rapidly losing confidence in its monetary policy. National GDP growth more than halved in the second quarter year-on-year, and JP Morgan said it would drop Nigeria from its emerging markets government bond index due to foreign exchange controls. Right then, let's head over live to Lagos. Deji Badmus is standing by. He's got a lot more data on this story. Deji, on an annual basis, average petrol prices in Nigeria in August are nearly 2% higher than in the same month last year. And that's despite a significant decline in crude oil prices over the same period. I mean, what explains that contradiction?
Well, it's just simple. Basically, what you're seeing, Rama, is the fact that Nigeria imports petrol. The bulk of this petrol comes to the port in Lagos. Now, there's just no way you would have a uniform price of petrol in this country. Fact is that the further you are away from Lagos, where you have the major depots, then the more likely that you're going to buy the product at higher prices, and that's what is happening at the moment. Also remember that about a month or two ago, there was scarcity. There was this problem between the government and the fuel importers before they had that agreement to now start supplying. So there was scarcity, and basically people were not buying petrol at the regulated price of 87 naira. But for those who are in Lagos, they probably would have the chance of getting it for 87 naira or maybe slightly higher. But for those who live far away from Lagos, where you have the major depots, they will never get the product for the same price as 87 naira, the regulated price now. And that's the reason you have, states that are far away from Lagos, people who live far away from Lagos now buying the product at far higher prices than the regulated price, Rama.
Indeed, but also, I mean, this just gets more and more confusing. Consumers, for example, in Bayelsa State, which in itself is a fairly significant oil producer, they had the highest average price at over 132 naira per litre. I mean, is the same logistics argument you just made the one key explanation for that same price difference?
Basically, Rama, because, yeah, you're quite right. Bayelsa State is basically the highest, one of the oil-producing states in Nigeria. But you know what? Bayelsa produces crude. It does not produce refined petroleum product. Now, just a few kilometers away from Bayelsa State is Rivers State, also in the south of the country. Now, that state also produces oil, but it produces crude. There is a refinery there. Before now, that refinery had not been working for a long time. Now, if that refinery was working, what you would have is that sellers, petroleum marketers would basically go to the refineries, load their product and sell within that region. But because the refinery is not working, you don't have any major depot there. What you have is that the truckers, I mean, those who sell these petroleum products will have to drive down to Lagos, get the product, and then take them back to that place. Now, when you add the margin of transportation, it only adds to the cost of, the product in a state like Bayelsa that is very far away from Lagos. So it's just simple and logical that, yes, Bayelsa State is actually an oil-producing state, but it does not produce refined petroleum product. We import these refined petroleum products that come all the way from abroad. They come down to Lagos. From Lagos, they are basically trucked to different parts of the country. Now, the farther you are from Lagos, the more likely that you're going to get the product at a higher prices, because, these transporters will actually add their transport margin, Rama. So it's one of the reasons why people are saying, look, remove subsidy. Make it an open market so that people could, because basically we don't get petrol to buy at 87 naira, Rama.
Indeed, that 87 naira litre price essentially is fiction. But Deji, with all this new data, this essentially proves that the fuel subsidies are not working. Is it enough to convince President Buhari to change his position and finally remove fuel subsidies?
Well, we just have to wait and see. President Buhari has come out and say, well, he doesn't believe that subsidy is a problem. Of course, it makes political sense for him not to remove subsidy now. You know how controversial that subject is. You know what the previous government had to go through when it attempted to remove subsidy. That huge protest you had there in 2010. So, but you know, with the way things are now, maybe the president will begin to see reason why he should remove subsidy. Because the fact is that if you say you are selling petrol at the subsidized price of 87 naira and people are not getting it for 87 naira, it just basically doesn't make sense at all to retain the subsidy. And that's the argument of those who are supporting the removal of subsidy. Now, with what the National Bureau of Statistics has done, clearly showing that even in Lagos, that is very close, where you have the major oil depots, people are not getting petrol to buy for 87 naira. So it just wouldn't make sense to retain the subsidy. But, you know, we just have to wait and see how President Buhari handles this. We have to wait and see how his incoming ministers will handle this. Honestly, if you ask me, it's just a no-brainer. You just don't continue to retain this subsidy when people are actually not getting the product to buy for 87.
Indeed, the system clearly being broken there, at least that's what the data is telling us. One final question for you, Deji. Inflation has been above the CBN's upper limit for 3 straight months now. How will this influence its monetary policy for the rest of the year?
Well, this is going to pose a very serious challenge to Monetary Policy Committee. Fact is that we do not know how the Monetary Policy Committee will respond to this. But then there's nothing, if you ask me, I would say there's nothing actually surprising about the new figures that the MBS actually came out with. Of course, no doubt higher than the upper limit target of the CBN, which is, of course, 9%. Now you have 9.3%. Before now, there had been forecasts that the inflation rate could actually hit 10% before the end of 2015. And it appears we're moving that way. But how the Monetary Policy Committee will deal with this remains to be seen. The last time they had the meeting, they retained rates at the same level. We have to wait and see what they do when next they meet again. But, you know, most people are saying they do not see Monetary Policy Committee changing the rates. You know, and even the CBN governor has actually come out to say, look, there is a limit to which Monetary Policy Committee Monetary Policy Committee can deal with this issue, that you just surely would need the fiscal side of things to get things working. Thank God President Buhari would soon be unveiling his ministers. People are waiting. Probably before the end of the week or next week, we'll know who the ministers are, and then he would set up his economic team, and maybe that's when things will begin to take shape, you know, as far as the economy goes, Rama.
Indeed, we'll leave it there for the time being. Thank you for that. That's Deji Badmus live in Lagos.